And Colleen, let me begin with you. And this happened a couple of years ago in June 2007. What happened?
I was trying to pass by a woman, and she had gotten out of the way. She knew that she had a dog that was potentially dangerous. And so I passed. The pit bull broke free from her.
Is being identified as a pit bull. And in fact, there's some research indicating that there's a significant discrepancy between dogs who are identified visually as pit bulls and dogs who actually test out as pit bulls with DNA testing. Actually, only a quarter of those dogs visually identified as pit bulls test out as pit bulls when their DNA is tested.
What the ASPCA was telling you, I don't know where she got the DNA information. That's pretty interesting. They're all going to have to be DNA tested. There is no DNA data. There's no DNA base in the United States for the pit bull breed. We can't DNA test pit bulls. Okay, these are all just false talking points by animal groups.
Yeah, I mean, I would simply urge folks to read the excellent article by Victoria Voice in the Journal of Applied Animal Welfare Science from 2009. In fact, it is possible to perform DNA testing on these dogs and to make some determinations regarding breed and what is and it appears that it is not possible, that visual identification of these dogs is highly fallible. Bans and pit bull regulation of dogs who are deemed to be pit bulls simply hasn't worked. Let's take Ohio. That's the only state in the country that actually has a law that regulates pit bulls. They classify them as vicious. Dog fighting complaints have doubled since the time the law was enacted. In some communities, localities in Ohio that actually ban pit bulls, it's somewhat interesting, and we certainly don't make light of this, but one community, Lakewood, banned pit bulls in 2008, even though pit bulls were identified as not being the predominant dog, to the degree one can identify them, not being the predominant dog that had been biting. It was actually mixed breed dogs. So, we think that there's a certain hysteria attached to this issue. We're not making light or marginalizing those cases where there has been a serious attack, but we simply believe that the best thing to do is to evaluate the dogs individually.
Go ahead.
Okay. A pit bull law is not designed to reduce the overall reduction of dog bites in a community. It is specifically designed to reduce pit bull maulings. Okay.
And that has not happened in Prince George's County, Maryland.
Okay. Banning breeds essentially forces irresponsible owners underground, where responsible owners are going to abide by the law and perhaps not, in this case, own pit bulls, but it doesn't necessarily get at those irresponsible owners who enjoy and breed aggression into their dogs.
So interesting. The pit
And there was one article that suggested that perhaps the daughter was high at the time. Was the daughter behaving erratically in some way that upset or concerned the dog?
No, Deborah just blamed the victim for being high. Did everybody catch that?
No,
Okay,
that is not.
Well, wait a minute,
normal,
Deborah, hold.
Like it's normal for a family dog to go off and fatally attack a family member. Okay, this is what we deal with every day at
we're not
dogfight.org.
suggesting that we're not suggesting
Total
it's normal. We're not
talking
suggesting
points from the ASPCA.
Well, hold on.
Blaming victims.
Hold on.
And to just lump every animal in as dangerous is completely ridiculous and overreactionary.
Well, Linda, let me get to Colleen Lynn to respond to the call. And Colleen, go ahead.
Okay. Insurance companies throughout the United States of America refuse to cover pit bulls.
Alexandra, go ahead. You're on the air.
Hi.
Hi.
I have a pit bull. She's a spayed female. She was severely neglected, and I adopted her. The SPCA animal cops had rescued her. She's an awesome dog. She's great with everybody. I have, however, been bitten twice by dogs who were not pit bulls. One was a golden retriever shepherd mix. The other one was a German shepherd. Both of them were unneutered male dogs. I thought it was really interesting how dismissive Colleen was at that point. Statistics show that unneutered male dogs are more likely to attack.
And Colleen, do you want to respond to that?
Yeah, it's the type of email and phone call we've been, getting since 2007, our launch. Okay, these are all the same stories, but they don't offer any new information to help parents. Okay, no information.
But I mean, what our caller is saying is that her pit bull was attacked 2 times, not by pit bulls, but by unneutered males. Can you respond to that?
Okay. It's a factor. There's multiple factors, and breed is one of them. Okay? Golden retrievers don't show up in fatal attacks.
Is that true, Deborah Bresch?
Actually, we know that they have shown up in extremely severe maulings. One of the most notorious cases in Ohio involved a golden retriever who bit a family member. The family sort of excused it and then mauled a little girl who was walking by the property, and then the family agreed that the dog be put down. All manner of breeds have been involved in fatal attacks and in serious maulings. So that is simply not a true statement. And I guess I would also like to know, relative to the callers, to this caller, that there's actually, and I understand that in Elgin, Illinois, pardon me if I'm not pronouncing it correctly. They've been pondering a pit bull ban, and I understand that someone actually proposed that perhaps German shepherds should be banned. So now they're pondering that, and I guess we would ask, where does it stop, this circle? I mean, it seems like a very inartful way to address a problem that requires much more, a problem that we know a lot more about than Colleen is suggesting.